Okay, for those who just joined us, please, if you can, just help us to do this very simple poll, whether you're attending the seminar for the first time, all right? Those who have attended before, perhaps if there's any expectations, any questions you want to ask, you probably already know or familiar with the format. But if there's anything you want us to work on or answer later, you could put it in the Q&A, right? We will start in about a minute's time. You notice the topic for this webinar, I think, is quite scary for some. We have used very obvious hints, all right, number one, and also very straight to the point. It is all about the tariffs and how tariffs has actually affected in the form of tearing down or affected the landed like segment's performance or the resilience. Yeah. Okay, one more minute, a few more seconds, we shall start proper. We were trying back end to play some music, but it's not happening. Okay, let's share some results. Can you all see the results now? How does it look like? Okay, yeah, so 56%, 44%. Okay, quite a number of new ones. Actually, previous one, we had a lot of new attendees. So let's start. All right, very good evening. My name is Willie. Sorry, this is done. If you are new to us, I'd like to introduce me and my team. So I'm the head of HLD or Hutton's Lender Division. All right, so I'm glad to, together with all my teammates here, I think my team of leaders from Michael, Cindric, Will, Jason, Sean, and Justin, I think we'll be doing this very highly anticipated, even for us as well, even for our teammates, okay? Not just being a lender owner or seller, whoever is a stakeholder, to compile, share, analyze, and of course share, I think, the latest results on the quarter 2 2025 landed market results. Okay, you probably have seen us already, HLD, in many media such as HProp, you can see from here, CNA, etc. Okay, some of this, if you want the full article, you can come to us. But we're very proud to share with you that we just published our latest article in just last month. All right, this one highlights my team of brothers here with regards to the various districts they are in charge of and some snippets of insights, okay, into the district. So again, you want the soft copy of this, you can come to any of your HLD or Hutton's lender consultant. Okay. Right, so besides that, this is the entire team. There's 90 of us now serving, I think, the lender community, buyer or seller, wholeheartedly. And these are some of the social media, which I'm sure that's where you got the message to this link as well, right? From website, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. I don't believe any other lender team out there has as extensive a media coverage or presence as much as we do. So thank you for the support. Continue to follow any of this, right? So we have been doing this for years. You can see these are some of the various ones. I think, let me see what's the earliest you can catch here. 2019, all right? We started before COVID, and obviously this intensified over the years. This is the last one based on 2025 quarter 1 results. So this has been uploaded to a video. So if you want to get the link, you can either go to YouTube or you can scan the QR code here, right, to see what are the latest. That was the first time that we actually broached this subject of this unstable world in terms of the economy. That's when Terrace just came out. I think few days after the Terrace was announced, we conducted this webinar. Okay, and of course today, 3 months later, we're very first curious ourselves, and when the results came out, very excited to share with you what is the impact of this for us. Okay. Now, disclaimer to on the results shared. Firstly, the data collected is based on up to 10 of July. Right, of 10 of July, that's when all the leaders here download all the data. Bear in mind that last few days, things may change a bit because of some delay in terms of when the URA uploads the data of the last few days, or maybe in the subsequent days, if not weeks as well. All right, so but as of now, this is as complete as it gets. This will be today's sequence. We'll do a total landed market overview first, and the interesting part then will be into the various subsegments, which are thanks to all your feedback. A lot of you have mentioned this is probably the most detailed, right, in terms of how a landed market or how a market actually could be actually segmented into, right, the various ways you can look at the market. Last webinar, one client told me, can you do the same for condo? I say, we only have 24 hours, unfortunately. We are not the head of condo segment, if there's any in Heartlands, but landed is where we focus on, and we are happy that you appreciate this, all right? And then subsequently is the main part, okay, which is we are going to cover the 4 regions and 11 districts in this following order, followed by a conclusion to today's topic, which is, has tariffs, all right, or the global tariff situation actually affected the landed segment's resilience or continued growth in the last 4 to 5 years after COVID? Needless to say, whether you've joined us for the first time or not, you know it has grown very steadily in terms of volume, though especially in terms of value, right, over the last few years. So has this tariff situation really affected? Okay, so let's do a fun poll. Perhaps you can share with us, in your opinion, based on what you have seen so far, do you think that landed market has been affected? Pardon me, let me just get the poll out. Question 2. Okay, let's hear from, I think, all the participants here. I put the word negatively, not just, right? Do you think it's negatively affected? Those who are buying now, if you're a buyer, do you see prices coming down? Do you see volume coming down? Do you find it more difficult to find houses now or less difficult, right? It's quite amazing how the market works. As slow as people think the landed segment is in terms of transaction volume, but how quickly, all right, can the tides turn in terms of sentiments and how it affects every this segment or every sector within the residential market, if not the commercial market, right? So, okay, thanks for all your... I'm surprised by the answer. Let me just show you the results, okay? So we have actually more of you think that it has not been negatively affected. 42% said yes, yes, been. I'm very curious between the yes, I don't know whether you're a buyer or seller, right? But do you want to know the answer? Okay, let's move on. Let's start with transaction value. Okay, let's start with transaction value. If this is the first time looking at this, I think this is a very straightforward line. Blue line represents the value in terms of average PSF per square feet that is transacted. Okay, easier number than median price registered or recorded by URA or the flash report, because that refers, I think you can relate to it whether you're a buyer or seller because the price is stated on PSF. Okay, so you can already see, let me see here, can you see a dip? Okay, although this is not the first dip, there are a couple of dips before because just after all quarterly data. And the dip is frankly quite minor, almost flat, almost like a -1%. What is significant, however, the last quarter, we were hoping, or the beginning of the year, we were hoping firstly to reach a $2,000 per square feet, which it managed to, the market, for the first time ever, average price, all right, of landed properties has crossed 2,000. But this is the first time, sorry, after that, we were hoping it will continue, of course, before the tariffs hit. And then this is the first dip, okay, first dip. Don't be too alarmed. As I said, there's many couple of dips before, but what we are more concerned is the next slide. Okay, it's the next slide. By the way, 2,000 and 1,991, frankly, not much of a difference, all right? Of course, you're talking about the entire market. Now, this is slightly a bit more concerning because now we're looking at transaction volume. So volume, you can see, yes, there's ups and downs, but this year, starting from this year, we have seen volume drop quite consistently from Q1 and now even at Q2 as well. So versus last quarter, it's dropped by 4%. And then versus last year, the year on year, that's something that's been more stark, okay? It's dropped by 12%. If I were to show you now, I think there's about 2 years of data. If we were to stretch this further to maybe 2021, 20, you will know that Q2, Q3 traditionally is the highest volume, right? Highest volume of landed transactions. So to have a -4% drop, I think firstly that's quite unexpected. Firstly, before of course the tariffs. Now for 4, is it within our expectations? I must say yes. Okay, within our expectations. In fact, the observations in April, for example, was a very, very quiet month. Okay, April was a very quiet month. Of course, it also ties in with, I think, the election as well. But to have just -4%, frankly, it exceeds our expectation. It's not as bad as what we expected it to be. Okay, right? Does it sufficiently answer your question whether has it affected the market? Yes or no? I think if we're here today, we won't need 2 hours already. So, oh, sorry, I forgot about mention this. So 414 last year is 470, right? 470, one of the highest so far. Okay. So is it a clear? So these are the few quarters, by the way. It's a double decline. I've texted, I think a lot of our clients have received a double dip alert, so to speak. Some you're getting a bit concerned, especially for some sellers. So now I hope you're relieved. It's not by a lot. It's not double digit. Volume is only 4. Value kind of flat, so to speak. All right. And this has happened before. Q2 23, Q4 23, even last year Q3 as well. It's also a double dip, but the entire year still grew. Okay. For in terms of volume and value. So is it a clear yes or no? The answer is let's continue the next few slides and you shall see, all right, how this numbers actually varies in the various segments. It's very, very interesting until the very last, I mean, just now almost at 6 p.m., we're still looking at the numbers and making some changes, right, in terms of the analysis that we managed to get. Okay. Now, the many ways that we can look at this market is firstly in terms of price range. Many of you have highlighted this is very useful to you because if you are a buyer in the, for example, 3 to 4 million range, a lot of you are, a lot of the buyers or in terms of transaction volume, right? A lot of upgraders. So please don't compare me to the above 10 million or even 5 to 10 million, for example. I would like to know, but under 5 million, for example, how is the market doing? Okay. With this, let's first understand how has the market shifted? Okay, so you see the percentage there below 5 million now, it represents 56% of all the transactions in this quarter, up from 52%. Up from 52%. Where did the incremental 4% come from? Come from the various tier, the middle price segment, mid price segments, as well as the high price segments. All right, we call mid and high for short, minus 2% of each. So now you can already tell more than half of the transactions are below $5 million. Does that mean that the market is doing well? Does that mean the market is not doing well? We shall see more in the next few slides. Okay. So let's take a look at this. Many numbers here, but do bring your eyes basically to one number at the bottom here first, a lot easier to see. Okay, a summary. Firstly, you can see volume from 52 to 50. So actually it's 3 point something plus minus, right? So it's actually about in terms of rounding up. So about 4% here. Below 5 million has actually increased in terms of volume, all right? And also in terms of, weightage is 4%, and in terms of volume has increased by 3%. Okay, you see the other higher value ones above $5 million have all dropped, especially those above $10 million, right? By 17%. Okay, weightage has dropped by 2% each. If you go further up, let me see whether I can go up here. Okay, I'm going to come back to this slide again. Okay, just remember this first. The rest, don't worry, unless, for example, specifically, let's say you are at the 6 to 8 million mark on here, you're buying something within 6 to 8 million, you will be happy or not happy as maybe as a buyer. Seller should be happy to know actually this price bracket, actually there were more transactions made in the last quarter. Okay, 9% in general, and also below $3 million as well. Okay, and also the 4 to 5, which is the almost, I think now the most common price range for upgraders. Okay, so first conclusion we can draw from this is volume dropped by 4%, value 0.9. Okay, as mentioned earlier. And also the lower value segment has outperformed in value versus the medium and high value segment, which collectively, you saw two numbers just now, if you lump them up together, they have dropped by 11%. All right, so this is already an indication. If you say the market is affected, why are the lower value segments still increasing so much? Is it because of the upgraders? Or are the higher value buyers holding back? Are they more affected by the decline or the drop in sentiments so far? We shall see. Okay, it's very interesting as we start to peel, remove the layers one by one. You start to see the numbers revealing a lot about the last 3 months. Okay, so besides this, how can we also see from here? Now, a new chart here. I would like to bring your attention to the bottom. Can you see from there? Okay, so here what we're going to introduce is average PSF and average size first. Okay, so you can see total Singapore here. Last quarter, average PSF is 2010. Now it's 1991, yes, minus 0.9. Okay, now average size is interesting. Last quarter, average size of a landed property sold is about 3,131. Now it's 3,234. The size of actually the property transacted has actually gone up by about 3%. Okay, by about 3%. I won't go through the rest, but if you now look at the right, you probably see one very stark, all right, pattern here. That the high value one above $10 million, they have all reported double-digit growth. Okay, remember just now the first line we saw, right? That actually higher value, the PSF went down, but they are actually buying larger houses. Larger houses. And if you understand the relationship between size as well as PSF, the higher, the bigger the size, usually is the lower the PSF. So if you just understand from PSF, you might be misled into thinking, oh no, I think the rich are not buying. Actually, based on this, we're giving you a clue now. All right. Actually, the larger ones are being purchased. Okay. And not by a couple of single digit. They are actually very, especially the 20 to 50 million dominated by the GCBs. All right. And of course, there are a lot of white bars here. Sometimes people say, we have heard comments, really, you go too fast, your team has too many numbers, very confusing. So this time around, I'm going to cover these numbers, unless you otherwise want to see. Maybe you can give us an indicator. I'm not sure as participant. If you want to see these numbers, maybe give us a sign or something, a clap, or is there a high five sign? Let us know, all right? Otherwise, I will hide some numbers. Okay, oh, sorry. I could, however, show you this. Any response so far? Do you want to see all this? But let me show you something on a summary basis first, all right? So the average price, okay, another indicator. Last quarter, this is one of the highest, almost 6.1, okay? $6.1 million is the price of an average property. So can go around telling people, now you buy landed property, now average, please have $6 million, all right? This has dropped by about 2%, 1.7 to about 5.9. Okay, 5.9. Okay, I see some good signs. Thank you very much. Seems that more of you want to see what is reviewed here, all right? So later, if you're keen, I will flash one chart that shows the rest. Okay, but for now, not to confuse you, just take a look at this. Now, below 5 million, which is the about 50%. It was 3.8, now it's 3.8. Okay, flat. 5 to 10 million, also got 3% increase. Price has not changed. Now, you look at the above 10 million, from 15.5, now it's almost 17 million. So the average price has actually gone up by 9%. You compare that with the PSF just now, actually it can become misleading. They are actually going in two different directions. All right. So the average price, if you are looking for the larger properties, first you have to buy higher, bigger, and the price has actually gone up. Okay. And this one is not just by GCB. Later, I think my team will share with you. Okay. So are the rich so far, if I can consider this group, or the ultra wealthy holding back on their landed purchase? Not so clear anymore. Am I right? And why is that so? Let's go back to this. So the lower segment, can you see now, has outperformed. Sorry, we have that. Medium value has led the growth. Just now we saw the low value, sorry, in terms of value. Medium value segment, 5 to 10, they led the growth in average PSF. The rest are flat, and there's one negative, right? Plus 3%. And high value, okay, above 10 million, led the average, led the growth in price and size. Confusing? Not confusing? Okay, what is clear? Every price segment, okay, whether you are low, mid, or high, they are showing signs of strength and growth, but in different ways. Okay, but in different ways. That's why we at HLD, we want to be very responsible. I think when you do a lot of this one-to-one with us, I think when we do market sharing analysis, by the way, which the entire team, all right, 90 plus of us, we do that once this comes out. You realize every segment, every session goes to 1-2 hours. How come you're so late? Because other whatever agents or news article, they just see a median price and they conclude straight away. They conclude straight away based on flash report, etc. Market going up or down. I think it's very dangerous. Okay, based on just these few slides, you know, it's quite dangerous and quite naive. And I'm thanks to I think the demand from a lot of our clients, they drills further, and therefore I think being led by all these numbers gives them a clearer picture on how the market is doing. All right, depending on which price segment you're in. And again, this is just one area on how we can split the market, right, to analyze further. So you have to be careful. I think a lot of you here, landed owners, a lot more discerning, if not knowledgeable or intellectual. So I think you will appreciate the depth in terms of how we analyze all these numbers. Okay. Question so far? I think my team can help to take a look. There's some in the chat, for me to answer. Next. Okay, interesting. Terrace versus semi versus detached. I think this is a very common way to look at the market. me see if I have a poll here because I'm quite curious to. Oh no, don't have poll today. All right, so I don't know whether majority of 50+% as per the market transaction are interested in Terrace versus semi or detached, but the next few slides will be interesting to you, right? Now, for the first time, we see a big shift in the percentage, right? Now, Terrace from 53 climbed to 59%. Familiar number, just now it took over by 4%, under $5 million, correct? So now this has increased by 6% in terms of market share. Where did the 6% comes from? 4% comes from semi, 1%, is it 6? Because the numbers add up, 900, 3, plus minus, okay, again, rounding up error, plus minus. I think detached is about the same, all right? But the thing is, it got basically capture market share from semi and detached, especially semi. You can see a big drop there. Detached more or less is about there. Okay, so more terraces were sold. More terraces were sold. So if you were a terrace buyer and you realize that a lot of units were, we just updated just one house just now, by the way. It was a listing until 2 hours ago, and we realized it was sold, so we had to remove, okay, and replace it. That's how fast, okay, terrace goes in the market. Okay, now let's take a closer look at the price. First, let's take a look at the volume first. So for terrace, it has increased by 6%. 230, etc. To now is 243. Semi-D has dropped by 15. Detached has dropped by 14%. Okay, has dropped by 14%. More interestingly, and more maybe relevant to you, is the price. This is quite interesting. Terrace, while increasing by the highest percentage, is Terrace and semi-D more or less is quite flat, right? -1, 0.1. Semi-D in particular. But you can see detached price dropping, all right, in terms of PSF by 10%. Okay, by 10%. Had I not shown you the chart earlier, you may think that's it. I think detached prices have come down. But please remember to layer this, and don't forget there's another element of average price. The price, the quantum of a detached has actually gone up. And because they are bigger, right, bigger houses were sold, so the PSF actually dropped. So in this case, I hope how many, 70, 80, and soon 1,000 of you will be the acknowledged or enlightened ones in the market, right, to be able to discern this. Okay. Okay, next, we move on to Freehold and 999. Freehold 999, sorry, we lump them together, versus 99. 99 has gained a lot of traction, especially in the last quarter. All right, in the last quarter, we see in the last quarter, also last 4 years, especially there's a bit more budget conscious, for example, and you also realize that 99-year houses offer a lot more value. Okay, not much of a change, it's about 2% increase. But so now the Freehold 999 has gained 2 more percent in terms of market share, right? Less so in 99 this year. One reason actually for certain popular estates that we saw. Once they were sold in Q1, not many listings left. Okay, there are less listings. Don't forget, by the way, the supply of 99-year houses are much less. Okay, much less. I just did a viewing for one house recently. It also happens to be 99. And they realize, well, it's very difficult to find, or very easy to find, because within that particular estate, there's only so many houses, like 99-year houses. Okay, so in fact, you talk about rarity, they can be actually more rare, okay, than say GCBs. Put it this way. That's another way to understand if you're looking for houses there. So performance-wise, for Freehold, the big brother here, 80 over percent, he has dropped by volume -3%. Value is quite flat, okay, still above 2,000 per square feet. Soon, I think you'll hit 2,001 if this continues. Okay, volume is -3. And then for 99, this is probably the worst performance so far in terms of decline for 99, after seeing quite good growth in the last, and you notice the volume as well. You notice last 4 quarters, we'll be highlighting about 99. Now it's kind of back to normal, but at 60 is still quite a commendable volume, right? Compared to many a few years ago. Okay, now it's at 1,000. Last quarter, we're really excited or surprised to see that 99 on average has hit as 1,006, very close. But it's frankly not too far from condo market, where Freehold and the 99-year gap is slowing as well. All right, reducing as well. Okay, next will be another David versus Goliath, which is your resale versus new. New is a very small segment. In fact, if I compare the various segments here, is the biggest distinction, okay? Because resale, new houses has always been a single digit, but this is the first time I think we hit a 98 and 2%. Okay, very few new houses were sold, except in some districts, like District 15 data, there were more that were being sold. other major new houses contributors like 28, for example, later Sean will share with you, a lot has reduced, okay, because there are not many new houses that are being built anyway. This, by the way, also the reason why they can command a premium because of scarcity, okay? Right, so what does this translate in terms of value? So Big Brother here, 98%. This will be very close to the total market average, 0 and 0.4, all right? Quite flat, nothing to worry about. I think this is a good assurance as well, despite what's happened in the market affecting sentiments. I will only say business sentiments because market, I think just today, market has reported that our GDP growth is actually is actually improved better than before. All right, better than expected, and it revised upwards as well. Okay, for new houses, double-digit drop, very huge drop in terms of quantity. Right now, only 7 houses were sold. I would like to know who are the 7 who bought during the entire quarter. So almost average only 2 per month. Okay, average 2 per month only. PSF has gone to 2003. Again, this is by the way diluted by a lot of 99-year landed launches. If you're looking at a lot of new ones, a lot are above 3,000, 3,005, some are even 4,000. Okay, but a big volume of that was actually contributed by 99. Okay, all right. Last but not least, if I'm not wrong, is landed versus strata. Some of you, besides considering 99-year landed, are also considering strata, whether they're freehold or this 99 years. Okay, so change again. Landed has gone up by about 2%, 87 now versus 13. Okay. So Strata value has gone up marginally, 1.2%. It has maintained above $1,000 per square feet. Right. Strata, by the way, just take note, the basis of comparison is different. It's divided by the square footage of the usable space, all right? Not land area. Volume has dropped by 13%. So if you were to summarize everything, all the various segments here, PSF and volume, very useful chart. Those are on computer or even on the phone. You may want to screenshot this, easier for you to remember rather than waiting a few days later. Okay, many numbers here, basically a short, but you can see, are there more reds than blues? Okay, there are more reds. Generally, even though it's quite marginal because it's led by volume of -4 and value of almost -1%. The few bright spots, firstly, you have, let's take a look at the big ones, Freehold, Triple, and Resale. The value has maintained. Coincidentally, 0.4, not a typo error here. Volume-wise, you have Terrace driving the growth, okay, +6%, and value semi-D maintaining it. I will put Terrace almost there, more or less, and Strata as well. All right, the rest has dropped. Okay, so at this point, average PSF, major contributors, Freehold, 999, Resale, etc. Transaction-wise, terraces have outperformed semi-D and detached. Okay, clear so far? Okay, so generally, if you're terrace, our team has also witnessed as well. It's more competitive among the buyers, okay, especially the good ones, and especially later the district ICs will share with you the better built ones, 2.5 story renovated, 3.5 stories, for example, right? They're leading both growth as well as value. Right, now next will be another interesting thing. I think it's almost exclusive to HLD. I don't think any agent has this because it's, by the way, very complicated to get this indicators, all right? Is where we start to look at average size and PSF. Just now, first few slides, we've given you a hint, but let's take a closer look now, okay? Firstly is, we've seen this just now, right? A average price, a average, in terms of the price range. So actually below 5 is flat. Average price is flat, 3.8, 3.8. 5 to 10 million, 6.5, 6.5, flat, very coincidental, right? Nothing has moved here. Price has dropped a bit, doesn't matter, but it's the above 10 million that has increased by 9% and 42% rest. 42%. I don't think I've seen these numbers from 6,000 plus to 9,000 plus. Okay, from here you can really tell majority made up of detached and GCBs. All right. So above, just now, I believe I've highlighted this. Okay, you can see that all these price points above 10 million, they have all increased in size. People are buying bigger units, right? Bigger units here. Okay, let me just pause because I think I hit some of this. So give you a couple of seconds to take a look at certain other things. For example, what we find interesting is that the below 3 million, all right, average price has also increased. So a lot of the 99 years. Okay, we don't have a lot of freehold now above that, so they are spending more. And highest one, the next one is the 20 to 50 million has increased by 7%. Okay, marginal drop, don't worry too much about it. Okay, and right, what does this mean then? So larger, slightly larger houses were transacted at slightly lower average price, minus 1.7. And core districts outperforming the non-core districts. Okay, this one I will come to that in a while. Okay, core districts versus non-core. Is this the first time you're hearing this? If you are attending this for the first time, this should be. If you have been following us, this is another interesting way of dissecting the market. Okay, so I'll give you a brief introduction first. Or before that, perhaps you can share with us, right, whether you are now buying or selling or looking at any of these districts or not. Let me just, is this the one? Okay. We are very curious to find out. Especially my ICs now. Okay, they each represent 1, 2, if not 3 districts. So later, please take note of their names, numbers, of course, your consultant as well, because you can PM them, right? Ask them for questions. Let's see if there's any district that is, oh, there are some districts that are empty now. Okay. Are you planning to buy or sell? I have now highest percentage is District 19, 43%, followed by District 10, 11, then District 15, not unusual. Oh, there were a few districts that have no interested parties, so I think we can cut down the seminar by a few districts. Anyone has participated? Hold on. Let the rest fill up first. Only 30% of you have the rest. Can you just fill up one? Just put in your entry so that we can have a more balance. After so many years of operating, I think in HLD, this is our 12th year already, all right? Every year, every district continues to, I won't use the word intrigue, always surprises us, all right? Because every district is really quite interesting. Not just geographical advantages or disadvantages, but the buyer profile, seller profile, and it's ever evolving over the many years. Okay, of course you have your the familiar ones, either based on schools or MRT stations or just by the sheer size, like District 19, for example. We know it's the big brother, right? Because there are 10,000, more than 10,000 houses there. But other districts, in terms of movement, sometimes they can surprise us. And it is where you see the biggest change in terms of percentage. There are some with others. Yeah, thank you very much. Those who put as others. We didn't put this here. I will explain in a while. Okay, I'll explain it all. We only have 43% respondents. The rest, would you like to key? If not, for the sake of time, I'll just end the poll and share the results quickly. Okay, you can see now majority interested in District 19, 10, 11, 15, 28. So 21, 23. Next first speaker, I think, can take a break. District 13 as a close shop. Cindric is now joking. Okay, so we just are curious. Okay, just to see what's happening. But don't worry, we'll give equal this emphasis. So this is how we divide or segment or organize. Okay, so we have the 4 regions here, and then the 11 districts that you see will take up about 80 plus 85, not 86%. I believe later there's a number there to show you. Okay, more than obviously more than 3/4, if not more than 4/5. So that's how HLD is also formed to manage, handle, and analyze these core districts a bit clearly. Okay, so yeah, this is the number 86%. No change in terms of the weightage of the transactions, 86 versus 14. So these are the 11 districts that we are focusing on, and the non-core. Not that they're not important, it's just unfortunately the volume is not enough. This is, by the way, the remaining districts only make up 14%. All right, so 80-20 rule makes more sense for us to focus on where majority of the clients are. Okay, one client just asked me just now to find something for District 5. I openly just say our database is not as robust compared to the other core districts. Okay. All right, so, okay, big chart here, especially the first time looking. Again, let's just go down first. Okay, don't worry about the various numbers at the top. Again, this is a sequential from Q3 22 for the last 2 years, basically, right? You can see now that with a total negative growth of -4%, actually it's quite balanced. Core districts -4, non-core drops slightly more by -6%. Okay, nothing alarming. So basically it's quite well spread out, Okay, if you look at the districts now in general, we have 2 districts that stands out. One is District 15, increased by 50%. 40+% later, Justin will explain, all right, adjustment. And that's due to mainly a lot more terraces were sold. in District 15, and even some newer houses as well. All right, Terrace alone attribute to this growth. While 50% is big itself, also compared to the rest. Actually, some other districts are actually declining. All right, so what has happened in D15? Justin will share with you later. Right, District 20, managed by Sean. Also, you see an uptick increase in for almost 41%. Okay, 41%. And you explain a lot is caused not just by, mainly also by terraces, okay, and also some movement in other house types. Okay, now value is interesting. This is again on PSF. We have seen, let's bring your attention down to the bottom. We have seen, oh, sorry, before that, okay, total Singapore is minus 0.9. Quite balanced. If I'm going to take out just the 11 districts, core district is -1, plus minus. Okay, it's very balanced. All right, quite balanced. Core district still above 2,000 per square feet if you're buying any of this district. Non-core has dropped by about 2.1%. All right, 1,008 to 1,007. Okay, so among the districts, so something that has never happened before is District 15 claiming throne, right, as the most expensive in terms of PSF district in the core region. All right, sorry, in the core districts. This spot is always either District 10, District 11. Now you can see it has crossed 2,003 and it's the most expensive now. All right, for this last quarter. Okay. Okay, next you will see also District 21. Okay, District 21 showing both the highest growth, okay, versus last quarter, and also crossing $2,000 for the second time in history, right? Almost inched past last quarter last year in a sense. Okay, another 2,000 mark. Soon, I think it's just a matter of time. If there's no tariffs, etc., we were actually pretty sure you will see a number of more $2,000 PSF so-called club. Okay, but things have slowed down for some in a sense. Bear in mind though, some of these districts have more 99-year houses. All right, they're also lumped together as well, so that might bring down the average perceived value. So, for example, in District 16, I just got an offer for one house going for 1,008. So if you just look at this number, you're like, why am I paying 1,008? You know, for a house? But that one is just for this 1,006 has as a 99-year element, whereas the one that I'm selling is a freehold house. Okay. Now let's take a look at non-core. One of you just now said you were looking at non-core. Right, a lot more numbers. Is a little more sporadic. You see a lot of zero because there are literally months where there's no transactions, and one comes out, you may be all these are a lot of outliers. Okay, you can see, for example, district. Let me choose one. 18. You know, 0, 1,001, 1,007, etc. Okay, you won't see this kind in basically the more stable ones, the core districts. All right. So I won't worry too much about it, except knowing firstly that it's minus 2.2 and there's a lot of double digit. But what's interesting, however, is that I think for the first time, all the non-core districts shows a growth. If there's anything happening in this 14% of the market, is that somehow or rather, we have known some buyers who, out of frustration, the word is frustration, they couldn't find anything in the core districts. They just can't find, all right? Or they're willing to adjust their expectations. Okay, not to mention, does not necessarily mean that they're lower price, because you can see the pricing, some are pretty high, like District 9, by the way, that's the real true big brother in terms of PSF. Okay, 4,007, for example. So, but they decided to adjust. If I cannot find this, I don't mind opening up to other areas. Okay, first time we see all blue here, I think, in all our webinars that we've done. All right, but by and large, collectively as a whole, minus 2.2. Again, not too much big of a lump. By the way, for districts with less transactions, all the more, you should not look at the big picture. You should look at the individual transactions. Okay, individual transactions, and later I'll share with you what are some of the other non-price factors that affect the value. Right? Okay, now let's go to average price size again. Again from here, I think I've shown this chart before. Oh no, this is new. Average price now, again from the bottom, 6 mil, 7 mil, 7.5. Okay, so now if I go to core districts, okay, what under the minus 1.7 in terms of average price, actually core districts were still holding very strongly, 6.3 to 6.3. Okay, 0.1%. In fact, no change. Whereas the size, people are buying bigger, right? They're buying bigger from 3,001, now they're buying 3,003 on average. Non-core, however, okay, you see a negative drop. Even as they go there, they're actually paying less per unit, even though the PSF has gone up. Okay, because the size they're buying are so smaller. So one hint is maybe there are small houses in the non-core districts, all right, that appeals to the buyers more, right? Okay, so core districts fare slightly better. Both value, top performers are District 15, District 20, value, D15 overtook, and District 21 grew the most. Okay. Clear so far? Are the numbers confusing you? We try to put it as clear as possible. Not every slide will matter to you, but you will start to see certain things that are more relevant. All right. Now we're going to the various districts. Of course, let me introduce we're Michael, Cindric, Will, Jason, Sean, and Justin again, starting with West Region. All right. And I will have Cindric to take over. Cindric.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Willie. Cindric here. So first I'll just go to District 21. Okay, at a glance. So basically, for D23 this time around Q2, there are less transactions of about 22%. But in actual fact, 22% sounds like a lot. It only comprises of four lesser units lah, being transacted versus Q1. Average price wise, there's an increase nominal of just about 2.1%, whereas for PSF, it's more prominent, is an increase of 10%. Now, this being the reason, it's because, okay, a bit of history. For Q1, because there was one Jalan Bingka house transacted, and that one, the lease is only about 20 plus years left, and thereby the PSF was only 338 PSF, I think. So, whereas this quarter, there was a brand new house in District 21 that's already crossed 3,000 PSF. So with this disparity, right, it kind of caused the PSF to jump pretty significantly. Yeah, so this when we dive down, then we see all these details come out. So if you just look at a glance, just the figure alone, it might scare you. Okay, now let's talk about Terrace. Terrace wise, for District 21, the average price there's a decrease of 20 plus percent. Now that this is also there's some reason behind lah. Whenever the number seems to jump a lot, we need to dig deeper. So basically in Q1, because there were two big terrace houses, sorry, two big corner terraces. So one was in Sunset and another one was in Chunting area. Yeah, both are fairly new, more or less moving condition. The land size sizable, thereby the quantum was very high. Whereas this time around in Q2, right, the terrace houses were all normal terrace house. Okay, into terrace, etc. They don't have like huge corner terrace. That's why Q1 large terraces transacted, Q2 don't have. That's why it looks like as if the average price has decreased. Whereas, but if you look at the PSF, it's not much of changes actually. It's still lesser than 1% growth. Okay, so then we look at semi-D. Okay, the price increased by about 10%. Semi-D wise, so basically for both the average price and both the PSF wise, the jump was due to, once again, the Binka house has some contribution to it because the Binka house itself was a semi-D. Yeah. So because of the low quantum, the low PSF, it kind of pulled down the previous quarter prices. And this time around, this quarter wise, the Jalan Kecil area, Jurong Kecil area, there was this above 3,000 PSF house that was transacted. So it kind of affected this this figure lah. No, sorry. Beg your pardon. Tamsun area. It's a fairly new, almost brand new house. That's why it caused the PSF to increase. Detached wise, okay, Jurong Kecil, there were only four transactions. So in Q1, right, they're all about the same, similar. Almost the three of them were all like similar in terms of size and price. But there was one in Q1, it was smaller and older. That's why the increase was like more significant this quarter round. Okay, but otherwise, if you take away that particular transaction, right, there were actually not much difference lah. Okay, GCB no transactions for a few quarters already, so nothing much to talk about. Now, what are the chart toppers? Okay, for District 21, the first house, okay, with the highest quantum, yeah, we're talking about only Freehold and 999, by the way, when we look at D21 chart toppers. So is this house at 26 Engkong Drive, sold at 4.3 mil. And then in terms of PSF wise, is this one to tuck rise So for 1285, these are the lowest transaction, lowest quantum, sorry, lowest quantum. So they take the bottom of the chart. Okay, the highest of the chart is Sunset View, number 36. Consistently, whenever the sunset transaction, because of the huge land plot and the nice location, right? They tend to always be the highest in terms of quantum whenever there's a transaction. This was the one I was telling you. The next one at Yutong, 93. This was the above 3,000 PSF house that was transacted in D21, right? Okay. We only have the illustration picture. We don't really have because it's still under construction. Now, deeper dive wise, so there were only four different transactions versus the previous quarter, all contributed by the lack of 4 units lesser in terms of semi-D transactions. However, if you were to look at the minus of the terrace house type, right? If you look at the rest of the figures, the various house type, in terms both of on the average price and the PSF, they were all positive. Okay, they are all have shown sign of growth. Now, as I explained before, previously, because of the two large transactions which affected the terrace house figure in Q1. Otherwise, if you look at it, they seems to be bucking the trend. I mean, the terrace doesn't seem to have much effect on as far as D21 is concerned still. So yeah, so this is what we can see, at least as of now, as of this quarter for District 21. So things are still pretty much the same versus previous quarter, except for the slight drop in volume. Okay. If you need more details, of course, feel free to approach any of us or any of the consultant that has invited you today. Next, we want to talk about a few hot listings we have. Okay, semi-detached, currently there's this number at Kismis Place for sale, going for 7.8 mil. And Sunset, we have this brand new semi-D going for 8.98. Okay. And then for Huaguan, if you want a bigger house detached, Huaguan very popular within D21 as well. It's always Sunset or Huaguan area. This one is it comes with pool and a lift, pretty sizable, 5,000 plus square feet land going for 14.8 mil. And yeah, the most interesting one is this GCB. This is a boutique size GCB, 11 plus thousand square feet. We have quite a few inquiries on this at Kampong Chantek. Okay. Swiss Club area GCB, asking only 25 million. And the PSF is very attractive, 2,100 PSF. Right. So in general, these are the houses we have currently in our listings. So if you'd like to find out more, do feel free to approach any of us. Okay, next, let's move on to District 23. These are the locations. Okay, at a glance wise, okay, for District 23, they are more active. There's a growth in terms of transactions, 31, but what does 31% stands for? Like 21, there is also just 4 units difference because of the lesser volume, right? A little bit of changes tends to the percentage tends to jump quite significantly. Basically, there are more terraces, houses being sold, and also two GCBs being transacted this quarter. Right, average price increase of 20 plus percent, contributed by the two GCB, of course. They were all transacted, sorry, beg your pardon, at 12 and 15 mil, 15 plus mil respectively. Okay, and then the average PSF, there's a dip because of a house at Jalan Asas. Like the Bingka house in the previous district, this district also has one problematic, I call it problematic zone whereby the houses are also, the lease are down to 20 plus years. So whenever there's transaction at this location, it skews the PSF lah. So, okay. Okay, now let's look at the terrace class. Okay, price increased by about two nominally about 2+%. So basically, I think this was kind of contributed to also a big big corner terrace, 5,000 plus square feet at Elizabeth Drive, this Hillview area, that kind of pull up the average price. Otherwise, the PSF wise, it actually drops by about 10+%. So the dip, I was analyzing why the dip of about 10+% in PSF for terrace houses because in Q1 previously, right, there were more pavilion terrace houses being sold. If you're familiar with D23, the so-called creme de la creme terrace houses, 100% moving, I wouldn't say 100%, very moving condition, 3.5 story freehold terrace houses are usually those belonging to pavilion enclave. So whenever the transaction there, right, the PSF is among the highest in District 23. Whereas this quarter wise, there's only just a handful, a couple of pavilion houses sold. So more pavilion houses in Q1, less pavilion houses in Q2, terrace houses. That's why the PSF there's a little bit of the dip. Okay, in terms of semi-D wise, average price decreased by 30+%. And PSF wise also dropped by 3+%. This was all contributed to the outlier of the Jalan Asas lah. The Asas house leasehold lease down to 20+%. It was transacted at just 8K. 8K and the PSF was $318 per square foot. Okay, so this was the contribution to basically. No transaction in Q2 and GCP no transaction in Q1, so we can't do the comparison. For chart toppers, okay, we'll break them up between freehold and 99 for District 23 because there are many 99-year leasehold houses. So the lowest quantum was this one at Phoenix Garden, okay, 3.48. And then the lowest PSF was this one at Chestnut Crescent. It's a boutique GCB, 8,000 plus land size. Okay, very affordable in terms of PSF. Highest quantum, also within the same enclave, Chestnut GCB. Okay, 15.65 mil. And Pavilion, as I mentioned earlier, when there's a Pavilion house being transacted, they tend to get the highest PSF, right? So it's 2,450. Okay, yeah, when it look at leasehold wise, then yeah, whenever there's this enclave Jalan Asas houses sold, they always take the cake for the lowest quantum and as well as the lowest PSF. So this is not surprising. Okay, and then whereas for highest quantum wise is this one that in between Chestnut and Cashew area, Almond. Okay, 2.8 mil for the Terrace, and then this sorry, this lowest PSF, highest PSF, beg your pardon, it's the same house also, okay, for 99-year leasehold. Now, digging deeper, right? Okay, so for District 23, even though you look at the growth, right? There seems to be a growth, and it seems to be bucking the trend lah. For you look at Willie's chart just now, there seems to be more red than blue. So District 23 is one of them, with more transactions and more growth on average price, right? So despite the not so rosy market forecast, so District 23 seems to be like bucking the trend with the uptick in terms of volume and average price. Now, this one I feel is always consistent with D23, quite easy to interpret. It being the district where lots of people buy houses for upgrading, right? Especially terrace houses. In fact, terrace house is not written here. Terrace house makes up always 70+% of transaction per quarter, right? So with terrace houses being the most popular among the buyers in D23 due to their affordability, which I'll show you later on. The demand I feel will continue to be strong as far as for D23 is concerned through the rest of the year, despite the potential impending headwinds. Since people who really want landed, right, they are buying for long term. They're not buying just for 1-2 years. And besides, right now with the seller stamp duty, you need to hold it for 4 years. So usually the outlook for buying a landed house is 10 years or so. So I taking tariffs into consideration, I feel D23 as far as land terrace houses is concerned, since it makes up majority of the transaction, will still be fairly positive. However, I feel also buyer may be more cautious when it comes to PSF. right? Okay, so yeah, with the majority of transactions being the terrace houses, right? And in fact, most of them, which I'll show you shortly, are those that are affordable and they don't need to spend too much like for tear down and rebuild. So if you look at this chart over here, yeah, most of them were transacted below, on average, or below 4 mil. Okay, average or below 4 mil, right? So and then you look at the houses that were transacted, majority of them are this kind, fully maxed out in terms of the build up, right? Thereby, it's why upgraders is quite a no-brainer. They want to buy, they don't need to spend more. Otherwise, you might, their budget will take a hit. So D23 consistently continues to be the popular district for upgraders lah. Okay. Once again, if you want more details, do come and look for us. And these are some of the listings right now. This one is brand new in the Terrace, and then we have this one at Burgundy, a semi-D. Okay, these are the various prices. And then this one, fairly moving condition at Phoenix. It's a freehold house, semi-D. And then there's this Galveston, sizable 7,000+ square feet house. Okay, detached. So these are all the listings we have currently in our database. If you want to find out more, do feel free to approach any of us. Thank you. I shall hand the time now to Will to talk about the Central District. Thank you.
Thank you, Cedric. So I'll bring you a deep dive into E10. So we'll start off at the first land. So you can see the total number of transactions for the past 3 quarters has remained quite flat. In fact, we experienced about 28 units for the past three quarters throughout, and the average price actually reduced by 10.1% from what you see, 12 million to 11 million. Next is a PSF dropped significantly by about close to 14%, and bringing that 2,250. So from the terrace house type, okay, basically there's only one terrace house type that's being transacted, a brand new one that transacted at 8.8 million, that push up the overall average price. But again, the PSF declines significantly due to the odd-shaped land. And of course, what is most significant, what you can see in D10, what is the popular house type are usually the semi-Ds. So for semi-D house type has dropped significantly, both in terms of price and PSF. Okay, for in terms of price, 15% drop, and for PSF, close to 12%. All right, and detached, the next house type, okay, also declined by 24, about almost 25%. To 9.7 on the average, partly also due to some of the houses that's being sold are leasehold. All right. So this pulls out the overall PSF. Therefore, there's a significant drop as well, about 8%, bringing from 2,000 PSF or above 2,000 PSF to right now 1,933 PSF. For GCB wise, this time round declined by quite significantly by for almost 45, slightly below 45%, bringing the average price of to 29 million, 29.5, and of course decline in PSF, mainly okay because of price. People are looking for bargain buy. So right now average PSF is about 2,200. Yep, with a good 31% drop, 32 or rather 32%. Okay, chart topper. So the lowest quantum is this Holland Road, facing the main Holland Road, transacted condition, quite well kept. All right, sold for 5.725 million. Next is this GCB, very, very big in sizes. So 2,000 over square feet in total land. Look at the price, look at the PSF. Okay, price may be high, 35 million, but PSF is one of the lowest PSF at 1,533. Next, the highest quantum, another good class bungalow, sold for 37 million. All right, with 17,000 land size. And of course, this unit anomaly with the highest PSF, well kept condition, less than 10 years old. Yeah, at 3,233. So dive into the entire D10, I mean, for deep analysis. So you can see the entire semi-D, okay, actually make up of 75% of the transaction. So there's a steep correction in leasehold category for major overall in the market sentiment. So if I'm going to then separate the freehold and leasehold, which shows here the leasehold price has dropped significantly by almost 30%. I mean 29.25%, bringing the average PSF at 1616. And of course, freehold and 999 experienced moderate decline. Price dropped by 7%. Average PSF slightly, the PSF dropped by 7% and bringing right now from 2006 to right now 2004 for this Q2. Next, price-wise. So you will see a shift in average price compared to Q1. Q2, right now, bulk of the transaction is happening between the 2000 to slightly less than 2006. Okay, likely influenced by the weaker market sentiment. So in terms of PSF, everything has declined quite a fair bit compared to last quarter. So the popular price range, as Willie chart I mentioned, is within the 8 million to slightly below 10 for D10, right? So I would say this is also one of the sweet spots. So transaction volume, okay, has increased in this range by a good 29% growth. So right now, the hot listing. So some of these are interesting listing to take note of. If you are a terrace hunter, a terrace house type hunter, so we have this in the market at Mount Sinai View, bearing the unblocked view of the entire Moonbeam estate. And of course, this Namni Garden is sitting on the elevated plot, a very nice, quiet estate, okay, with close proximity to main road as well as convenience here. And of course, for bigger land size, we do have this at Jalan Ampang, right at the hilltop, breathtaking view, private, next to GCB, quiet surrounding. And if you are looking for value buy, we got this unit at Jalan Haji Alias. You'll be surprised what kind of price that my owner is willing to let go. So these are the current hot listings that's available in our database. Do feel free to reach out to any of your consultant who have engaged you over. Next, I'm going to bring you straight into D11. Let's have a look at the numbers. So for D11 Q2, everything have declined by a good 24. In terms of transaction have declined by 24%. Price have increased by 31.5, surprisingly, and PSF has dropped by slightly below 5%. Declined by 4.8%, bringing the average to 2004. Still remember earlier, if I'm going to dissect earlier for the for D10 is also about 2004. So price for terrace house type, there's a drop, okay, mainly short due to there's less brand new, but in terms of PSF actually increased surprisingly, but yes, astonishing to me as well. So next, semi-D, 13% decline in terms of price. But look at the PSF, we have increased by 2.7%. Not a lot, but slight incremental. All right. For the detached, a decline by 4% in terms of price and PSF. Right now, bringing the PSF to slightly about below 2001. For GCB, there's none in Q1, so I'll just list out the average price and average PSF for Q2 for 2025. So for the chart, top those transacted one, so you will have the lowest quantum at 5.59 for this terrace at Jalan Novena. And next is the Jones, a huge detached, okay, that's transacted almost 4,000 in terms of land size, so 4,004, 1477 PSF. The highest quantum again is this Jones Road, where it was sold for 58 million. So yeah, and of course the highest PSF is this terrace house type because of the smallest of the land size of only 1473, it was sold at 3795. So for deeper analysis of the D11, 31% increase in terms of value, okay, largely mainly driven by bigger homes, including your GCB. Okay, in quarter two, in quarter two, 50% of transactions, as I stated, are within the 8 to 15, slightly below 15 million mark. However, you will see there is a significant drop in terms of transaction volume for houses between the 10 to slightly below 15 million at a 29%. All right. So you will see this price. In fact, this price over here also reflects in D10 itself, District 10, 8 to slightly below 15 million are what most of the buyer are buying into right now in today's market. Okay, so for houses wise, for the average PSF, a significant shift. Okay, you see a significant decline of 71% in categories for the for more than $3,000 PSF, where else average price for this quarter is hovering between the 2,000 mark, quite similar to D10, to slightly below 2003. All right. Right now, I'll hand over. These are some of the listings. Sorry, these are some of the listings that is available in the market at D11 that's currently on sale. If you are a terrace or corner terrace house hunter who wants to live near school and convenience, 2 unit at Hillcrest for you to grab. And of course, this particular Greenwood is within the also within the school perimeter. If you are looking close to Nanyang or RGS, yeah. And of course, this very beautiful hotel style detached home at Berrima is something to be wow of. Okay, these are some of the listing for District 11 that we have on hand. Do feel free to reach out to any one of us. So right now, I hand over the airtime to Sean for the Northeast region. Sean.
Thank you, Will. Right, so back to the Northeast. I think before that, I think one of the common feedbacks that we get from a lot of our buyers nowadays, they always feel that, given the current market sentiment, especially the macro situation, that it's better to wait. I think we see a mixed feelings with regards to the actions as opposed to deliberations. So I think before diving into the three districts, I want to actually highlight something quite important. The concept that, sellers will eventually or rather abruptly lower prices. This thing actually, if you look at it on a macro scale, on average, every year you're averaging about 1,000 plus transactions based on the landed segment, as opposed to a total of 70 over 1,000 landed houses, right? So you must understand that majority of sellers, those who have bought more than 20 years ago, they are fully paid, all right? It's a home, regardless. So the urgency to sell naturally is not going to be there. Other motivating factors will actually push towards the sale and eventual closing. The second group will be those that bought about 10 years ago, before this abrupt rise after COVID. So again, the prices were much lower. Ultimately, it depends on what's next for them, given the market, all the ABSD in place. So a lot of times it's really about the replacement cost and what makes sense for their family's needs. Of course, there's the other segment, those who have bought their houses within the last 3 to 5 years. Again, these people are already kind of governed by the TDSR. A lot of restrictions have been in place to make sure, firstly, that things remain affordable. So anything short of a prolonged or abrupt change to the macro condition will kind of affect it, all right? So this quarter, I actually see quite a bit of changes, or rather, I think most buyers will be a bit skeptical, but terrace buyers, generally speaking, are younger, all right? And it's more so about quantum sensitivity as opposed to PSF. If you're young, you want to take the dive into the landed segment, obviously based on what you can afford. Okay, so for District 19, just to go through quickly in lieu of the time, transactions have dropped, mainly not so for terraces, not so for semi-Ds, but actually on the detached. So we see very few transactions. I think this is synonymous with all of the Northeast. Higher quantum buyers are dissipating, all right? They are probably more sensitive, right? Timing things, or rather, there are many other so-called opportunities other than real estate to kind of diversify their portfolio or their wealth, okay? So average price, this is, take all this with a pinch of salt because this is just on surface level. As we dive deeper to understand the various category of houses, then you can dive really deeper to make a more informed decision when it would be the best time to enter and which segment actually makes sense for you. So for most of the terraces transactions, in fact, for District 19, we noticed that the bulk of it is actually on houses that are actually in the two-story or fully maximized homes. A lot of the houses transacted, especially for the fully maximized ones, are renovated. Interestingly, later in District 28, I'll flash a snippet of one of the reports actually published on HProp today, that the construction cost in Singapore is actually the highest in Southeast Asia, and we are estimated to gain about 5% increment. So a lot of times this will pivot the decision for buyers, because if you were to buy a house that is moving condition, you're taking the full mortgage loan based on your purchase value. If you were to buy something to rebuild, this is something that there's a lot of uncertainty now in the market. Will contractors go bust? Will all these tariffs impact, eventually your cost of materials? And obviously, based on the report, the shortage of skilled laborers remain very prevalent in today's market, especially for Singapore, right? So going faster a little bit. So for District 19, these are two very interesting units. Again, once you take a look at public data, transactional data, it only tells you probably three things, all right? Price, PSF, and location, general location. There are more than 40, or if not even more, unique selling points that dictate, where the positioning of the house based on the current market forces, all right? So for Upper Paya Lebar Road, this is, to me, is a very good buy, all right? Given that it's a B category, this is a two-story house. There's room for renovations. There's room for A&A. I mean, not so much so for rebuilding, because maximum is going to be 2.5 stories. So anything below 3 million, this is quite a steal, in fact, right? So on the other spectrum, lowest PSF doesn't mean that all corner terraces will go at this price. This land shape is a bit odd. It's a trapezoidal in shape. So the actual GFA, all right, the built up so-called, for this house, it's going to be much, much lower compared to something that is a regular size plot. Going faster, this is one of the very few detached transacted in District 19. Serangoon Gardens comes with a basement. All right, so this type of quantum, there are still buys on the market, but I think they will be more price sensitive, okay? On the other spectrum, something that is more catered, definitely. I mean, looking at it, the differential in the PSF is more than double, right? But why go for something like this in Kovan? Generally speaking, brand new. Second is the large built-up area. So this can accommodate a lot of multi-generational needs, number of rooms and all those. Of course, the proximity, distance to MRT and such. Okay, 99 as well. Those that we see those that are doing the best, generally speaking, will be definitely something that is closer to amenities. Chuan Drive, despite the lower PSF, albeit this is one of the larger land sizes, also coincidentally sold by our team. This one was really something that the buyers just fell in love with in terms of absolute value. Right, some of the other quantum setters, again, there's not many 99. I think earlier somebody asked, the lower spectrum of the quantum transacted, majority, are not the 99 per se, because a lot of these 99 still retain certain kind of PSF advantage. Take, for example, the one on the right, Chuan Drive is close to 1008, albeit that it's a 99. Right, diving deeper. So for terraces, earlier I think covered a little bit. Increasingly, there's very, very few buyers who are actually brave enough, to actually dive into purchase of a single-story terrace for rebuild. So there's only 4 out of the many transactions, 47 this quarter. Only 4 are single-story. Majority are actually into the A category, right, including 3 brand new. So overall, this will bump up kind of marginally the quantum percentage and the PSF as well, because fewer single story, which means the average PSF generally will be higher, right? But again, most of the buyers, we are seeing the huge surge from upgraders as well. Okay, so for more details, up to many criteria, you can filter as much as you can. Just reach out to us. I won't go and go through these slides in the other 2 districts. Some of the more popular listings, I think this is something in Kovan, again, because of the attractive PSF,
Okay, although it's 2 stories, again, most of the 2 stories in the land size, you're going for something that is above 2,000. Many transactions in this quarter are actually generally below 2,000. So there's a lot of things you can do. There's a lot of things you cannot do. That's why this unit at Poh Huat Crescent actually stands out in terms of the absolute PSF. Right? On the other spectrum, if you're more PSF sensitive, something that's much larger, corner terrace, this is something almost, I would say, bigger than most of the detached in District 19, right? But the build up can be massive. So more details, to reach out. Okay, something that is more so-called brand new, almost new. This will be again in Serangoon Gardens in terms of the built-up area. Okay, on the other spectrum, also for the detached, these are something I would say now buyers for detached have more options, right? And the thing is, the longer you wait, depends whether you're going to be the first mover or you're going to be the last or to miss out completely, especially if you are in this segment of quantum. Right? Again, quickly going through District 20. 20 will be a bit interesting this time because I think it's one of the best performing districts, contrary to the last few quarters that, District 20, we saw a bit of a sluggish movement. So this round, we see a lot more transactions, all right? A lot of the transactions actually spill over, not only for the terraces, but also the semi-Ds. Also for the detached, there's 3 transactions. Okay, average prices, again, all these are going up for terrace. But for District 20, let me dive very deeply into terraces. I think most of the buyers actually are looking for District 20 because of the school factor being in proximity to the 3 good schools. Okay, chart toppers, quickly go through again. Again, these are the smaller houses, less than 1,000 square feet. This will be Thomson Garden area. A lot of these buyers actually are buying there temporary. So we see a lot of turnover in this estate. So not surprising, it's based on absolute affordability. The other side will be something that is much larger. This is abnormal in the sense that the land size is more than 7,000, all right, for a larger detached. There's increasingly a lot of buyers who are looking for land plots like this in District 20 that are subdivisible. Increasingly, it's getting quite scarce. All right, this one was also sold by our team, the one at Clover, something that's very interesting next to a park. Again, this is the kind of buyers that are prioritizing location per se. So terraces, based on the figures, is it truly going up? All right, transactional volume, yes. Average PSF, yes. All right, sales value, yes. But is it really? So how has it impacted the buying sentiments? Is the Trump era actually detrimental to the purchase? Actually, not true. All right, but yet we have seen this is prior to this, everything that's going on in tariffs. Increasingly, we have already seen that many transactions are not single story. So the whole of this quarter, including last quarter, there's very few houses that are transacting, that are single story. Again, why? The time, the cost, and also the opportunity cost. What you're going to do, the time you're going to spend, the interim kind of accommodations. So could this category be the trump card moving forward? All right, nobody dares to go in. Should you? So for category B houses for District 20 this quarter, interestingly, most of them are not in moving condition, all right? But yet you see the most of the price quantum, all right, is very healthy around the price of between 4 to low 4.5, mid 4 to 5 million. So all this quantum seems to be the most active by far, increasingly the younger people. Category A, this will be something that's brand new, fully maximized. Again, most of it are moving conditions. So it's not surprising. The one that is surprising is that contrary to the market going down, you look at the last one, this is at Jalan Lanjut. In terms of the PSF, right, this is close to almost 3,000 in the other side of District 20. This has never happened before. So those who are still waiting on the fence, thinking about, should I buy now? Should I wait later? Market's going to fall. I think every seminar we say the same thing, and the figures speak for themselves. Okay, of course, District 20, this is one that will be more governed by your proximity to schools. If you want to know deeper into the houses that are being sold, houses that are on sale within proximity, do reach out to your landlord consultants. We will curate all these reports for you so that you can actually be more well informed. Okay, some of the more interesting units, again, we are prioritizing things that we see value in per se. So one at Sembawang Hills, this is a complete move-in, much larger. Increasingly, I think one of the concerns for buying a semi-D as opposed to a terrace is really about space, total usable space. Things like this, you're only restricted by the front and rear setbacks as opposed to some of the semi-Ds. You still have to consider the site profile, your setbacks. You still got to factor in a lot of other things, like sewer lines and all, so on and so forth. Okay, for the larger units, again, Category B houses in general, the 2 stories offer the most flexibility. We don't see as many, tearing down to rebuild, going into a 2-story existing structure, but more so about how can you do renovations at what cost, limitations to A&A to keep it more budget friendly. So all this, again, you need to really dive into it to make a better understanding of what house fits your needs, all right? Short-term, mid-term, and long-term. Okay, again, lastly, for District 28, every time we reach 28, I have to complain a bit. But this round, not so much. Because why? There's fewer and fewer transactions from Poland collection. So this is based on stripping away all the brand new from Bukit Sempawang, only focusing on the resale. Yet there's been a drop, but this drop actually it's more of the semi-Ds, primarily semi-Ds. So the last few quarters, there were very few detached transacted. This time in District 28, there's a mega transaction, 22 million for something that is 30 over 1,000 square feet. So that actually bumped up this average price by more than 20%. Again, always with a pinch of salt. Okay, so Terrace's prices, okay, have inched up marginally. Something contributing to this is, I think, that for the Terraces, we have hit a new plateau. One of the highest transactions for the PSF occurred in Luxus Hills, also very close to 3,000 PSF. Right? Is this the new benchmark already? So the lowest one, yep, this is the one on the right-hand side, 30 over 1,000 square feet. By any measure, this is not even a detached or GCB, this is a condo-sized already for a detached land, all right? For the highest PSF and quantum, right, Luxus Hills generally holds the highest record holding for the PSF. Again, attributed to the move-in condition, everything ticks all the boxes of most of the buyers and it's ready to move in. A lot of times now, it's not really about the price anymore. It's about the timeline. Even having the right price, but long option and all this is quite common nowadays. So to save the hassle, the opportunity cost actually is factored into a lot of these transactions of late. Okay, on the other spectrum, this will be the 99 leasehold. Some of the highest ones will also, you see, even for 99, we can surpass 2,000 plus. There's value to it. Something like this, if compared to Luxus Hills, this will be easily another, 1.2 million, for example. So what can you do with that 1.2 million? All right. Again, most of the housing for the younger people, they are not really going to stay there forever. Exit strategy is also important. So at any time of the, in the market and for the sentiment, there will be pockets of, sometimes the semi-Ds are relatively cheaper. The gap is blurring between something that is fully maximized. You go for land for semi-D, 2 stories, or you go for something that's built up as a. Okay, so going faster, semi-Ds, why has it dropped so much? All right, it's almost half. Is it something that is alarming, especially for sellers? Oh no, when will my house be sold? Don't be alarmed. Why? Because firstly, again, there is zero that is brand new. So this is an article that just came out today, all right? The rise in construction costs. So a lot of times, for semi-Ds especially, you're looking ballpark figure easily something that's more than 2 million to rebuild, the time and everything. So a lot of these buyers are actually on the fence, thinking that the prices will come down. Unfortunately, in Singapore, it's very unlikely. Construction sector is actually one of the slowest to adjust to the current market sentiments. It's always the slowest to adjust, and usually it doesn't come down. So is it the right time now? If not now, then when? To enter into something, especially if you're looking to rebuild your dream home. Okay, for the category B, there's not a lot this round, but it's only 4. And creation of original versus renovated states. One of it stands out, the first one, which is more than 5,000 square feet. Again, this is a semi-D, but diving deeper to understand, this plot is actually subdivisible. All right, so if you're one of those tuning in that is looking for subdivisible plots, this is the kind of going rate, much higher than, let's say, something that is only 3,000 plus, which is generically the size for semi-Ds in District 28, because this has the potential to rebuild, subdivide into 2. and then potentially for sale. So developers are actually looking out for such plots. For the category A, this time round, there's only 3 for this semi-D. A lot of this will be more or less something that's already fully maximized, straight away move in, but you're paying that kind of quantum. So Mimosa is the only one that probably stands out, I think, in terms of the location. So again, unique selling points play a part. This Mimosa unit is at a cul-de-sac and it's very strangely located quite near to a park. So you're not facing another neighbor front and back per se, and the sides you're actually facing into the front of another few units. So in terms of the feel, the micro condition of the environment, this plays a significant role as well. So not all houses are equal, even in Mimosa. Right, so some of the more popular listings that our team is currently marketing, I think these two are something that presents a very equal PSF weightage. One, it will be a terrace, one will be corner terrace. Depends again on what you value more, all right? A bit, these two are kind of not fully maximized yet. There's still rooms for either renovations or some extensions. On the other spectrum, these are two very important, or rather, I would say, key listings in the sense that it actually sets the tone for a lot of houses in semi-D's territory. The one on the left, this is one that comes with a double basement. Quite rare in general, but not rare in District 28. So there are some lanes in District 28 on surface. On the road level, you see these 2 stories, but inversely, they have 2 actually natural basements. So a lot of basement lovers, this is something that you will look out to. The one on the right, these 2 are, I think increasingly there's some buyers that are looking for brand new that is much larger in terms of land size, in terms of built up area. So this pair of detached actually is one of the very few that is not only 3.5 stories, it comes with a very, very big basement. So if you have any interest in all this, do reach out to the consultants that invited you to the webinar tonight. Okay, so with that, we'll pass over to Jason.
Yeah, Jason here. Yep. Okay. So I'll cover this District 13 and District 14. So let me start with District 13. Okay, the grants for District 13, we are seeing less active with 11% less transaction overall. Mainly, I think the mainly job is actually from the semi-D. And average the price decreased by 11% on the price, and on PSF is 1%. So PSF side, not much changes. So we see where are the drop actually on the pricing for the so-called terrace. We are seeing minus 15% against versus the compared to the PSF, decreased by 3%. Mainly decrease for terrace is mainly the terraces. They are actually selling the more on the smaller unit. As for semi-D, lesser transaction compared to the previous one. Used to be have 8, and right now we actually cut down only this quarter, we only have 3. So therefore the average price drop. As for detached, not much changes except for the PSF, mainly because the larger units is actually selling for detached. So on the chart topper, we are seeing where for the lowest quantum, we always see District 13 at McPherson Garden. One of the reasons is because, as you can see, these are all below 1,000 square feet. So today is still one of the most popular district or so-called area where people are looking for entry level. I'll share more later on. As for this lowest PSF, as you can see, the background of this unit, this is actually 4,007, which is a very huge plot of land. It's actually selling, I would say, below market price. Probably for this owner, they just want to let go fast. And this is for review, mainly for a developer to buy to review. But it is really, if you ask me, in my opinion, it's really below the so-called market price. On the other side, for highest quantum, we are seeing this detached 8,000 square feet. Yep. So this is at this scenic area, and we are seeing, this is 10.6 million. On the other side, for highest PSF, again, always the lowest PSF and the highest PSF, I would say most of the time is actually for these are what we call McPherson Garden. Mainly, again, you can see that this is actually less than 1,000 square feet, 884, and it's 3,005. One of the reasons you see the background on this facade is actually they have done the A&A, the owner done an A&A and built from 2-story to 2.5. So therefore, actually, they are selling at much higher price this time. Give me a minute. Okay, we dive deeper on where are the price and where is the volume drop. As you can see, the last quarter, since 2004, generally for District 13, the volume have been dropping from 35 down 27, and this time around 24. And on average, we actually go down about 20% since Q4. With major drop, actually, what you can see, major drop this time round come from 70. Not much. One of the reasons I think probably a lot of this area right now for this district, people is going for entry level. Yeah, for Terrace, especially for those who actually looking into like upgrading from HDB. Okay, upgrading from HDB or condo, looking at their first landed. So as you can see, this is the area where McPherson actually increased a lot. The rest is actually not much changes. McPherson area is the area where we are seeing the land size between 900 to 1,005. So, and most of the transactions are either below 3 or averagely above, slightly above 3 million. These are actually popular for those upgraders from HDB to condo to their first entry level landed home. Next, yeah, these are just some of the slides showing you these are the area where it's actually transacted within that range of either below 1,000 or below or slightly above 3 million. So with average transaction price below 2,000 square feet, actually contribute more for Terrace. So it's actually either below 2,000 and below 3.6 million. Therefore, actually bring down a little bit of the what you call PSF down by 3%. Yeah, I will not share more detail. You can actually check with your HLD consultant that actually so-called invited you to this webinar. Next, for the hot listing that we have, yeah, currently we have this few Inter, and for Inter, this is actually good. This is very original, as you can see from the facade, and it's good for E&A. Good for A&A, as you can see, it's only three bedroom and 2 bath. So it's pretty original, the old style. So good for you to do A&A. And the PSF is actually, the price is actually below 4. As for this one, it's a corner terrace. As you can see, the land and the PSF is actually just about 2,000 square feet, which is, I would say, this is very near to Potong Pasir MRT station. Very affordable. Next, on semi-D and detached. Semi-D, this is the one at Jalan Mawar. Okay, and this one, if you can see that, look at the land size, 3,009. The so-called the frontage is almost 10 meter by 40 meter. So it's a pretty good land size and it's only going below 1,008 PSF. Yeah. And next is a brand new or on Summerview Walk. This is actually come with a pool as well as lift. Yeah, this is something that you can look at, and it's only around 2006 for brand new detached. So we have other hot listing. You can check our HLD consultant. Next, I'll share with you a little bit more on District 14. At a glance, likewise for District 13, District 14, we are also seeing a drop in transaction. mainly also from semi-D as well as detached, terrace as well overall. So average price increased 13%, and PSF is dropped a little bit slight. Okay, this is where the changes are. I will share with you more on my deeper on another slide later on. Except for the semi-D drop in pricing, the rest we are seeing actually a price increase as well as PSF. Again, this is the chart topper that we are seeing the price lowers. For lowers, most of the time, I will say Lorong, the Geylang area, where they have all those very small old houses, where it's actually the land is very small. So you can see actually it's below 2.5. This is small for you for rebuild. And on the other side, on lowest PSF, we are seeing a higher land, bigger land with actually lower PSF because of the land size. For highest quantum, we are looking at this Jalan Selamat. This is actually quite well renovated. So you can see actually 5,000, they actually selling, I would say quite a good price, 1,006 PSF. On the other side, this is actually on the highest PSF, is a brand new. This is at Eunos area, at Eunos. Land size is not big, but then you have actually a good build up, and it's a corner. It's right onto the, and it's also elevated. That's why they are selling actually at this PSF. Next, diving deeper, as I mentioned just now, I will share a little bit more on where is the price actually coming out. Okay, except for semi-D, like I mentioned, value dropped by 22%. We are seeing terrace and detached seeing an increase in value, and PSF as well. So mainly for the terrace above 2,000 square feet for D14. That's why we are seeing a price increase. So on the price range, we are actually ranging between 4 from the last quarter. As you can see from last quarter, we are right now moving into from 4 to 7.9. So this is make up of 70, about of 75%. Again, 5 to 6 million price range is still nominate the majority. On PSF wise, we're still hovering in the range of 1,006 to 2,000, 2001, generally as compared to the previous quarter, and we are seeing below 1,000, 1,006. For this quarter, mainly the range in the range of 1,006 to 2,001 contribute mainly 68.6%, with Terrace making the major part of it to go into the level of 2,000 PSF. So same likewise, I won't share more detail on this. As for hot listing, we still have this Lorong Marzuki Inter Terrace. This is 2.5 story. Okay, well renovated. Moving condition, I would say. On the other side for corner terrace, this is a very good plot of land, 5.8 nego. It's only 1,003 PSF with the so-called frontage is 10.3 by the length of actually 40 meter, and very good for rebuild. Can max up to about 7,000 to 8,000 square feet for this case. So same thing for this semi-detached. We have also a very wide frontage, and this is an elevated land. This is semi-D 4,003, similar to the corner terrace just now I shared earlier. On the detached, this is brand new, target TOP by Q4. Looking at 11, and you can look at the PSF is actually pretty good, I would say pretty good price for land of 4,003. Yeah, likewise, we have still other hot listing in our system. Can check with our HLD consultant that actually invite you. Next, I'll invite Justin. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Okay, Justin here. I'll be showing you District 15, the market trends for District 15. Okay, I'll go a bit faster because in lieu of time. Now, the District 15, as you can see at earlier slides, there's a slight corrections because earlier on it shows 50% increase in terms of transactions. But if you were to take out one of the transactions, one of the listing, right, you are actually listed as one transactions, but in fact it's actually 3 transactions altogether. So to normalize the numbers, to make it right, so the increase is only 36%. So in terms of value, it drops fairly. It's only about 12%, mainly due to the drop in detached houses. Lesser detached houses sold in Q2 versus Q1. And for PSF wise, as you can see earlier, mentioned by Willie earlier, District 15 has record PSF at 2319 PSF. So what make up of the high PSF was mainly due to the terraces. There are about 61% terraces sold in terms of transaction volume, and they were actually selling at a record PSF. Because I'll dive a little bit deeper later on to show you what are the terrace houses that attract higher PSF. And for semi-D, you can see is almost like hovering between like only 1% or 2% increase or decrease only. But focus will be on the detached. The drop in PSF is actually 11%. It's nothing to alarm. It's just because there was one detached house at Sikla was transacted at only 1,006, which is fairly just the land cost. And another house also as Sikla side also selling at land cost. So those are mainly probably for rebuild. So hence it pulled the overall PSF for detached decreases. Okay, the lowest quantum would be this terrace at Daphne Streets. It's only at 3 million. But then reckon if you look at PSF, it's already at 2002 PSF. So imagine if you could rebuild this house, what would be the cost then? So most likely, let's say if this were bought by a developer, they most likely going to sell like close to 4,000 PSF, maybe, perhaps. And for 14 Head Lane, I find this is a good buy because it's a semi-D. 4536 as good as it's detached. Probably the buyer who bought this can detach it into a detached houses because the frontage is more than 12 meter. So at 1,005 is really, really a good PSF to go in for this semi-D. And quantum only 6.8 million. If you look at my earlier slide, average semi-D in D15 is already all above 7 million in this year versus previous year is only 6 or low 7. I mean lower than 7 million. And for the detached house, this Branson 65 was transacted at 2006 PSF, which is relatively considered a bit on higher than normal because actually it was renovated. This house was in the market about 2-3 years ago, was trying to sell at 2004 PSF, but they didn't get a buyer. But I think now this buyer, I think probably also because detached houses, there are a lot of attributes to it. Like for people who are looking for a house, a detached in District 15, usually they'll focus in Katong. And land size must be at least 6,000, and you don't get that. You don't see that a lot. And some of the houses, if you are a detached buyer now, and has been hunting for detached house in T15, you'll notice that the houses there is either you need to do a lot of renovations. Some of the houses that was sold in recent, last month, like one in Goodman, and another one at Pool Road, they were relatively only transacted at about 2,000-ish PSF. And for this new one, this is the one that actually pulled the whole PSF up. This is the new one, the brand new terrace that was transacted at 3781. This is a record PSF for a new inter-terrace in District 15. 3781. I think as like my peer Sean has mentioned before, because a lot of buyers, like if you want to rebuild, like for example buy Daphne, construction cost is going to be very high, right? Or versus buying something that's already ready moved in, and you don't have to spend the time, the risk, all this into consideration, then a lot of buyers doesn't mind going into buying a new one. And on top of this, you don't get to see, a lot of new one was already sold. It's either they were still under constructions. So those are ready to view, not many. but we do have some that is ready to view. If you need to reach out. Okay, dive a little bit deeper. As I mentioned earlier, the terraces. I see for Cat A in the terraces has a lot more demand for this quarter. It accounts for 37% of the total transactions, an increase of 10% as compared to Q1. Okay, the Cat A was because they are more built up. It's either, I mean, depends on the zoning. It could have been built up to 2.5, 3 or 2.5 story with sufficient 5 bedrooms. So all these they are willing to pay, the buyer now is willing to pay 2006 to 2008 PSF for the house. So I'm going to show you later what are the houses that was transacted at this range. And generally, if you look at category B, which probably only 2-story, that maybe requires some renovation, that buyer nowadays that are looking for 1,007 to 2,002 PSF. Okay, of course, landed houses, there are so many things to look at, when coming to landed houses. So, and a lot of all these factors, like in terms of condition, attribute, and location, right, plays a part. So these are the houses I look at on the left-hand side. These are the 3 which I just picked up to let you know. The terraces like 3, 2.5, 3, 2.5 story. They were all transacted at 2.3 or if not 2.8 or closer to 2.9 PSF. They are renovated, but yet look at the land size are all quite similar, 1,006, but they are fully built up. Versus the one at the bottom, they are actually a Cat B, which only a 2-story house. They were hovering around 1,007 to 2,000 PSF. So because a lot of buyers nowadays, they will always question, should I pay this PSF? And they don't dare to go in, especially they were already informed that they know that the transaction are already taken place. But this is the truth, and this is, numbers cannot lie. So these are the houses. If you know that saw houses that you like, and the PSF is hovering this range, I think you can go in. Okay, now just to give you a bit of how hot listing that we have, like this in the Terrace. Yes, nonetheless, the PSF will be higher. It's 3,673, higher than norm. The Teng Tong only transacted at 3,007. But this one I want specifically show you because this 3.5 story, not just 3.5, it has a basement. So hence it has a build up of 5,000. As good as brand new because the house was rebuilt 10 years ago. Minor renovation is required, and it has a retention pool on the top, have like a sufficient entertainment room and all that. So something that you could consider. Knowing that not many houses are ready moved, especially for a fully built up house. And for the corner terrace, you have this at Chuchet Place. The price was just recently adjusted to 4.8 million. So then for 2,000 corner terrace and fully built up there again, three-story. I think something that you could also make arrangement with us, come and have a look at this house. Something that you can consider. And for semi-D, this one, I feel this is a house that you should, not say should, something that you should not miss. For 4,002, only at 2,003 PSF is something that Katong side hardly come by. Especially for semi-D with 4,000 is not a lot. Like I say, people who are buying houses like in Katong side, usually they're looking for bigger size, right? For 2,000, then they might as well buy somewhere else. For a big house with a good frontage of close to 10 meter, a semi-D, something that you could really consider. Do reach out to us if you want to view. And for detached, we have this, today I bring something on table, was something 7,272 square feet land size. It's a single story house. At 1760 is almost a land cost. Of course, the price is still negotiable. You can buy this to rebuild to your own liking. This one can build to 2.5 story. Is under a bungalow zone, so you only can build bungalow. You cannot subdivide. So, and it's also on the hillside. It's at the if you turn in from a Sika Road, but the thing is, this one has dual frontage as well. You can choose which facing you want. So something that you can consider as well. Now, these are the number of transactions we have, but there again, if I mentioned earlier, if you actually look into deeper, right, you want certain like facing, certain number of bedrooms, certain of land size, you tend to have, if you filter out all these, you tend to have very limited supply or limited choices. So hence, I think District 15 still remains a very strong demand in terms of the landed houses there. Okay, thank you for tonight. I'll pass on to Michael.
Thank you, Justin. Good evening. I'm Michael. I will cover the last district 16. As you can see, we have got 5 areas down here. Based on Q2, the most transactions take place at Q Drive and Jalan Limau, 13 transactions, followed by Guan Sun and Harvey Avenue, 10 transactions. Overall, we can see here a marginal increase of 39 to 40. In terms of price, there's a decrease of 5.7% to 4.68 mil. And average PSF, however, gone up 2.5 to 1621. In detail, these are the transactions for terrace houses. The price and the PSF both have gone up. Price-wise has reached 3.9 mil, and PSF is 1747. Semi-D dropped both in price and PSF marginally by 1.8% to 5.1 mil, and PSF to 1498 PSF. Detached see both ways. There's a decrease in price from 7.2 to 6.9 mil. PSF is the two-digit rise, double-digit rise to 1489. That's because the size of the detached transacted much smaller, just over 4,000 square feet. That's attributed to the higher PSF. For past transaction, Freehold 99, the lowest quantum is 3.7 mil. It's at this 120 Jalan Simpang Bido. And for the lowest PSF is 1147. This is actually a corner terrace with a big land area of 4,003, bringing a PSF of 1147. On the higher end, the highest transaction is 7.688 mil for this brand new semi-D with 7 bedroom and 7 bathroom. Next to it, the highest PSF transacted is 32 Seabreeze Avenue at PSF of 2,320. Leasehold, the lowest transaction is 2.6 mil compared to Freehold. Just now, if you recall, is 3.7. So there's a difference of 1 mil for leasehold and freehold property. Lowest PSF here is this Q Crescent, 1Q Crescent. This is actually a detached with a land area of close to 6,000. And transacted price is 5.8 mil, and that accounts for a low PSF of 987 PSF. On the higher end side, highest quantum is this semi-D, 4 mil at 9 Eastwood Way. And for PSFY, the highest is 1469 for this terrace house, which got a land size of 1770. And that accounts for a higher PSF. Let's look a bit deeper. For Q2, there is a significant increase in the transaction for 999 houses compared to only 1 in Q1, and year on year also 1. Of the 6 transactions, 3 are actually terrace and 3 are semi-D, and the price-wise are indicated there. What is interesting is that for Freehold and 999, they are different. Freehold are the premium land, and you can see that there is actually a gap. For Q1 between Freehold and 999 is close to 1.8 million. It narrowed down to Q2 because the prices of the 999 has gone up, as you can see from the top here. Terrace was transacted at 4.1 and semi-D at 5.5. So that gives actually an average of 4.6. And also for you to note is that in terms of PSF, Freehold is also higher than 999 by as much as 200 per square foot. Overall, for PSI, the bulk of transaction is below the 1,007, 69% in Q1 and 60% in Q2. However, property that is above the 1,007 PSF, we see an increase, 31% in Q1, and it gone up to 40% in Q2. And the other pertinent point is that for property that's above 2,000 PSF, we see a maintenance here, in fact, increase from 8 to 9. Other details are available. You can always get in touch with us. We will provide you the detail. And the last portion I have here is this hot listing. We have here, the first one is Terrace, which is priced at 3.88 mil. It's a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom. And on the right, we have a corner terrace at Guansun Avenue. This is a renovated house. As you can see from the facade, it looks very attractive with a very nice carport terrace on top. And the last two price, Semi-D at Jalan Pari Kikis. This Semi-D, by the way, is located only about 300 meters away from Tanah Merah, not from the Anglican High School. And from Tanah Merah MRT is about 6 to 7 minutes walk. The last one on the right you see is actually a detached. This is actually a worthwhile consideration. Price tag is only 4.55 mil, and they come with 8 bedroom and 7 bathroom with a land area of 4,566 and a massive build up of 6,002. Very attractive. So if you want space, if you want luxury, go for this. The balance here is actually about 70 over year left. And besides these 4, we have all the other listing as given here for you to get in touch with us, and we will be more happy to share with you more. With that, I end my presentation. I pass to Willie for the summing up. Willie, please.
Thank you, Michael. All right, for more than 400 transactions, summarized into slightly more than an hour. I think if given the district IC a chance, each of them, every district, we can go for 1 hour more, right? So I hope you've managed to get, I think, the essence of everything. Now, conclusion, coming to the end, is do you recap? So for those who attended the last webinar, right, we did talk about this global terrorist war. Can we survive it? If you remember this, okay? We gave a best case scenario, neutral, worst case scenario. I think after so many slides, so many numbers by the district ICs on the various areas, I think it's quite safe for us to say, although you can term us as cautiously optimistic, is that we are definitely not at the worst case scenario yet. Okay, we're not seeing definitely not local recession. Today's report just stated that the Singapore economy Q2 grew by 4.3%, and the total years this estimate has been revised upwards as well. All right, so right now, without going through the details, is I think we're more into a neutral, maybe potentially at least neutral, staying very stable for the next 2 quarters or for the rest of the year. But with regards to next year onwards, I think do follow us, because we are also treading very, very carefully on how the market reacts, all right, for both the buyers and the seller side. Okay. Numbers speak 1,000 words. I don't know. There are only 2 groups of buyers, or sorry, participants at the end of this. You either feel very confused because there are too many numbers shared, or like most of the appreciative attendees, by the way, they will just share with us that, okay, it sheds a lot of light because numbers tell 1,000 words, okay, and probably we share only 100. There are a lot more to go. So the more if you want to get more information, feel free, whichever groups they are in, just feel free to contact us, okay? Now, what is the outlook for the rest of the year? First point is about, I think you can see that the recent US-led tariff war has started to negatively affect, because we've never had a double-digit decline. And based on the next quarter's performance is still unknown, okay? This has caused some strain. Whether it goes to either way, I think a lot depends on the next few factors. One is we still have a very, very strong local economy, and the fact that declining interest rate, almost every month we're starting to get better and better news. I think there are some banks offering less than 2% interest rates now, right? That will of course start to spur on demand, basically for property purchases, starting of course from HDB to your condos, for example, right? So this will lead to, I think, minimizing any negative effect. Okay, so but with this, I think current market insights very interesting is that the number of sellers and listings are increasing All right. Well, I'm not talking about just the popular districts, the big districts, but also in the rest of Singapore as well. So that means actually that the pricing gets more and more competitive. Now, the word here is competitive. Doesn't mean that you have to go very, very low. Because it means that if your price is really over above the market by a huge margin, I think buyers who are even to a certain, you just have started 2 months, you would know that certain prices are really way off market. Yeah, all right. So besides that, I think you can see there's also talks on the recent TDSR restrictions. We can safely conclude, I think it's one of the weakest cooling measure ever, because it's very limited impact, because most landed owners don't stay beyond or within 3 years, less than 3 years, 6 to 8 years, like what a lot of my teammates have mentioned. All right, but they may start to reduce demand and transaction volume further, mainly from the HDB and condo side. But however, from what we've seen, things are still being very, very strong, all right, in terms of HDB price and condo price growth as well. I think recent launch over the weekend has sold more than 90%. That, I think, signifies the local market's confidence in new launches that hit even record prices. Okay, so this is very important, because the call just now, I think there were a lot of mention from the various districts on terraces, and terraces are dependent very strongly on upgraders from HDB and condo. So if they remain strong, I think this will start the upward spiral from terrace to semi-D, etc. All right. However, whatever it is, you have probably noticed, you've seen how the indices or different performances really swing from one spectrum to another in terms of PSF, average price, size, etc. I hope if there's one conclusion that you have, is that it really varies. Okay, it really varies across many, many other factors, more than 14, 16 that my team and I really analyzes. So to really understand the market, this is the most niche market, most high value market. It really deserves, I think, special attention to understand the various micro factors, all right, of each district before you can say you really understand this. The fact that we have 90 over people focusing on this for the past 10 years, I think is one testament on how complicated this market can be. So do not take numbers at face value. Always seek your professionals, all right, to better understand. Okay, so last but not least, we have always said this, besides facilitating a transaction, buyers, sellers, when you make your next move, don't just rely on market conditions. Do always, because this is after all a home, all right? Make your decision whether we are to upgrade, downsize, right size, based on your personal family needs, right? Rather than just the market conditions. Okay. Any questions? If there are other further questions, feel free to again consult any of our lender consultant from here, or can just follow our social media. There's portals, all right, or channels to find out more. I believe, like previous webinars, we don't have much time for Q&A. If there's any, are there any burning question we see here? Okay, all the questions so far. Dawn, Carrie, we have others. Anyone has any burning question that you want to ask right now? Okay, if not, we will hold you back further. It's already past 10. If there's anything that we would like to know, firstly, is to help us to please share with us whether you find this webinar useful or not. Let me just come to here to just give us a Google grading, so to speak. Let us know whether the 2 hours and the many, many other days put in has been useful to you. Okay, be brutally honest with us, especially when there's any room for improvement. All right. Now, knowledge is always power, especially when we're making a very high value. Most often is probably the most expensive or highest value investment that you have to make in your life. So do let us know how you find it useful, from 1 to not useful, and 10. Right. I'm tempted to show the results because we have a lot of 10 out of 10, more than 50%. Thank you very much. For the one who mentioned 4, we would like to know more. So it's basically 8, 9, 10, and 1, 4. All right. I'm very glad at least we have satisfied, or at least fulfilled requirements of the majority of you. All right. Thank you very much. Let me see if this is the last slide. Okay. Cheers to new knowledge every time, and hopefully with us, everyone in HLD. All right. Until the next quarterly webinar, on behalf of the team, my name is Willie, and see you next time. Good night.